Okay, so this is going to be my very first workout in almost 28, 29 days. And the reason being is I had surgery exactly 28 days ago. So I haven't trained at all since then. Initially, I could not squat, I couldn't bend down, I couldn't lift anything heavy, I couldn't do anything, right? Because my stitches were, well, fresh, right? But now it's been 28 days and they're pretty much healed. All gratitude belongs to God. So the thing is, I have not trained upper body and obviously lower body at all for 28 days. And I haven't done much motion as well. I mean, I started sitting on the floor, like being able to sit on the floor almost 22 days after the surgery. So it's all pretty fresh. And I hung from my pull-up bar yesterday for the first time. I squatted for the first time a couple days ago. And I'm talking bodyweight squats, just going into that position, right? I did that with assistance and then now I can do it without assistance. So point is, I haven't done much movement at all. And the thing that makes it worse is that I have mainly been sitting in front of my laptop for the past 28 days. I've mainly been studying and making videos. So that's why my posture probably hasn't been the best, right? However, one thing I was doing was specifically for my shoulders. I was doing rehab work. So I was doing banded external rotations. I was doing banded internal rotations. I was doing rows sometimes. I was doing some band pull-up bars pretty much every single day. And I started that 14 days after my surgery to kind of make sure that my shoulder does not go, well, numb due to that inactivity, right? So I've done that to kind of keep shape a little bit. However, now is my actual first workout. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I haven't trained and I've been wanting to train. I haven't trained. I discovered the ATG system exactly a week and a half before I got my surgery, right? So I couldn't really implement that. So I'm so excited to implement that. I'm so excited to what I feel is finally going to be me genuinely overcoming this torn rotator cuff and genuinely getting back to how you should train, basically, if you want to build muscle, God willing. So I pray to God that is exactly what happens. And today's workout is a very simple upper body workout. It's pretty darn simple. And I'm going to keep my workout simple for the next 4 to 6-ish weeks, probably even more than that, maybe 12 weeks or so. I'm going to be doing upper lower. That means 4 times a week, twice a week upper body, twice a week lower body, and one upper body day I'm going to do vertical pulling and pushing primary movement. So the ATG press, right, which is basically behind the neck press with dumbbells, and the pull-up, right? Right now I'm going to do assisted pull-ups. And for the other upper body day is going to be ring rows and ring push-ups. I'm doing vertical movement patterns one day, horizontal movement patterns one day. That means I practice each pattern at least once a week, and then my goal eventually is to do both these patterns, right, twice a week. That is my eventual goal, because when I can do that, then I'm loading my shoulder a bit more, then I'm getting in more volume to build more muscle, God willing. But right now, my whole goal is to gain my strength back, right? To get to at least a level where I am training relatively close to failure. So for me right now, at least 2 to 3 reps in reserve without any issues, and then eventually 1 to 2 reps in reserve without any issues. Once I get to that point, then I can start adding in more movements. You know what I mean? Because I've built capacity in my shoulder to that point, and then I can start adding in more volume and build further capacity. That is my goal. That is what's in my mind right now. So when it comes to lower body, I'll make a separate video going through my leg workout, but I'm gonna stop yapping now. Let's go train. But one thing I will say is I have to do a voiceover probably because my dad's working downstairs, so I don't want to disturb him, which is why I'm gonna be doing a voiceover. So enjoy. Let's get it. Also, I'm probably gonna be lifting very minuscule weight. Yeah. Alright, this is me starting my workout off with a pull movement instead of a push movement. Usually I start off with a push movement because that is what my coach taught me when I went to him for rehab. But I realized that let me just start off with a pull movement because that helps me actually activate my scapula better, that helps me activate my lats more, and that's going to help me in my pushing movements. So I decided to start off with a pull movement, but I will say it didn't really help. I felt the same. Anyways, I did 2 sets of 10 of these assisted pull-ups and not 3 sets of 10 because I feel like the extra third set adds to my shoulder fatigue and it's not necessary. If I can build up to a point where I'm training close to failure, then it's not necessary. I can do 2 sets and get by. And I'm about 1.5 bricks away from the wall in this video that you're seeing right now. And my goal is to get to my feet touching the wall with assisted pull-ups for 2 sets of 10. If I can do that, then that means I am at the capacity where I can start doing normal pull-ups again because I'm slowly building back up. Since I took 28 days off training because of my surgery, my goal is to slowly build back up to normal pull-ups by first getting to the milestone of my feet touching the wall, and I am doing 2 sets of 10 with the assisted pull-up. Now for my push movement, I'm doing the ATG press, and usually I start off with a landmine press if I was getting back into training after a flare-up, after a tweak, or after a long break. But I decided to just jump the gun and just start with the ATG press and slowly build back up, because at the end of the day, specificity is what matters. I mean, I could go from a landmine press to an ATG press, but it won't really matter if I just start off slow and train at a capacity and train with a weight that I can actually tolerate. But regardless, I did 2 sets of 10 here again, right? Because I've noticed, especially with overhead pressing, if I do a third set, it really adds to my shoulder fatigue, and I can easily avoid that by just doing 2 sets and slowly build my intensity back up to 1 to 2 reps in reserve and slowly increase the weight on this movement as well. My goal, this is going to sound outrageous, but my goal within the next 6 months-ish, hopefully, I'm not sure, but regardless, my goal is to get to 17.5 kilograms
per hand on the ATG press. That is about 25% of my body weight. That is a standard that Ben Patrick says that you should aim for healthy shoulders, and that is what I want. And I assume by that point my shoulders are probably going to end up having a bit of extra mass as well. But regardless, I felt great in this movement. I actually started off with 3 kilograms, then I dropped down to 2 kilograms for my second set because that felt better. The 3 kilograms just felt iffy, so that's why I decided to do 2 kilograms. And that is a mindset I've learned over time, that you build up over time and don't rush into things, because if you rush into things and you try to force the outcome, you are going to have a flare up or a tweak. I have experienced that firsthand. And I also tuck my elbows slightly in because that feels much better for my shoulders. However, I try to keep it as flared out as possible. Yes, this is a 1 kilogram dumbbell that your mom probably has from Walmart as well. Regardless, this is my first rehab/prehab type movement in this workout because I only have 2 primary movements, which you saw before. And this is my second time doing pullovers, and honestly speaking, I loved it so much. My thoracic spine felt so freaking good and so freaking sore. But I was honestly just testing these out. I didn't do a specific number of sets. I only did a few repetitions with weight, without weight, with 2 kilograms, with 1 kilogram, just to test this movement out and see how it feels on my shoulders. And to be very honest with you, my shoulders felt like they were going to get destroyed in the bottom of this movement. They felt so unstable. It felt like it was going to rip apart, honestly. And I felt so much pressure in my right shoulder, which is my injured shoulder, at this bottom position. But that shows me I need to work on this movement because I need stability. I don't need more range of motion. My range of motion is pretty darn good, as you can see. I need more stability in this movement, and that is only going to come from me doing this religiously, twice a week, 3 times a week. You know, every single time I do my upper body workout, I do this movement and I get stronger at it over time. Right now, I'm only using 1 kilogram and my shoulder felt like it was going to explode. But imagine if I can do 17.5 kilograms, 25% of my body weight. It's going to be insane. So my goal is to do about 2 to 3 sets of these. I'm going to see which one feels best for about 8 to 15-ish repetitions, and slowly and steadily get strong at this movement as well. That's going to help me with thoracic extension and overhead stability as well. Now after that is when I begin doing my shoulder circuit. That consists of me doing 3 exercises in a circuit fashion for 8 to 12 repetitions and getting strong at it once I have done all those 3 exercises at 12 repetitions, right, for a specific weight. So this movement right here, the external rotation, is a staple for my shoulder. I've been doing this movement for so long, and right now I'm doing 1.25 kilograms because I'm building back up since I took 28 days off. I can do about probably 4 to 5 kilograms. Now I absolutely love this movement. It fires up my rotator cuffs. It feels amazing, and my goal with this movement is to keep my form the same every single repetition, and I struggle with that, right? I struggle with that. My goal is to go 4 seconds down, 3-second hold at the bottom, and then go back up. I don't really count perfectly. That is why some repetitions look fast, some look slow, but overall that is my goal and that's what I'm aiming for. And my goal is to get to about 10 to 11 kilograms on this movement for 3 sets of 12 repetitions. And once I can do that, I know my rotator cuffs are pretty darn strong because that is about 12 to 15% of my body weight. This movement right here, and I honestly love this movement so much. It's called the power raise, and holy crap, are my rear delts on fire. This is just 1.25 kilograms, by the way. Just 1.25 kilograms. That's like 2.5 pounds. But my rear delts are on absolute fire. And one thing I do need to keep in mind is that for me personally, rear delts are more important than any other head of the shoulder for me, right? Because I need to make sure that I am basically injury proof. And for that, training my rear delts and getting stronger at movements that are gonna grow my rear delts is key, right? So the power raise is my main movement for that specific purpose. And one thing I always say is if you are going to do this movement, that is aim to scoop the weight up. Don't try to retract your scapula. Don't do anything. Just let your shoulders be as they are and then scoop the weight up. You do this for like 10 repetitions and tell me your shoulders are burning. Again, my goal is to get to 10 to 11 kilograms for 3 sets of 12 on this movement. If I can get to that point, I know for a fact my rear delts are going to be much bigger because this is a difficult movement, man. I wonder how hard it's going to be to overload this, and I know it's going to take time. So my rear delts are going to be so much bigger and my shoulders are going to feel so much better. And the last thing to keep in mind when it comes to my form, at least, is that I try to take about 4 seconds to go down. So that means when I'm going down, when I'm in the eccentric phase of the exercise, I try to take about 4 seconds because that really helps me feel my rear delt as well. And honestly, it just helps in controlling the weight. Now the last and final exercise is the trap raise, and the reason it's so important for me specifically, right, is because I am really weak in my lower traps. I'm so weak. I tried a test, right, and I just could not resist my brother pushing down my arm. I could not do that, right? So my lower traps are specifically weak, and that can be a cause for any issue that I have overhead, right, and just in general, posture-wise as well. So that is why this movement is a staple for me, and it's also part of Ben Patrick's shoulder circuit, right? But regardless, this felt hard. Well, this was difficult. Like 1.25 kilograms after like 30 days of not training, this felt difficult. And I can say that with my form. My form does not look the best. It's supposed to be about 3 seconds down, right? Taking my time, or 4 seconds down, but I did not do that, right? Because I just could not control the weight, and it was a struggle to get the weight up. So that is why I need to make sure that I correct my form at the specific weight before before I add in more weight. And I will say, my lower traps and my back was so sore the next day. And that's a good sign. That is telling me that this movement is working, and I'm going to continue doing this. The goal is to get to 10 to 11 kilograms for 3 sets of 12 with much better form.
So that was my very first workout in 28, 29 days. And I'm so happy. I'm so grateful that I get to work out. Alhamdulillah. So the whole gist of this workout was, again, just testing the water, seeing what I can actually handle. My incisions are not completely healed, but they're at a point where I can start training. So I did have a few aches and pains here and there, but it wasn't anything major. And that makes me super happy because that means I can start training again consistently, right, after the surgery. Alhamdulillah. I've realized one thing this session as well. That is that I have pretty good mobility, if I'm being honest with you. I can very easily lift my hands up, no problem. Even if you were to look at the angle for my pullovers, my mobility is pretty good, right? What I need is stability in that mobility. Like, for example, if I have a range of motion that can allow me to go all the way back here, the thing is I'll be scared to go all the way back here because I don't have control in that range of motion. I don't have strength in that range of motion. So my goal, and the same thing applies to right here. If I'm right here and I push my arm out, I'll be scared because I don't have stability in that range of motion. So that is my main goal now, which is training in this full range of motion and over time building stability in this range of motion through increasing weight, increasing repetitions, increasing volume, and eventually increasing intensity. So I'll continue to train in this full range of motion. Like, for example, with the pullover, I have a really good range of motion with the pullover. At least that's what I think. Now I just need to continue to get stronger in this range of motion. So that means going from a 1 kilo dumbbell or a 2 kilo dumbbell to 25% of my body weight. That is around 20 something kilograms, I assume. That is probably my goal with the pullover, something like that, right? So just like that, setting standards for other movements like the ATG press and working to build that up to 25% of my body weight. That is, again, 20 kilograms per hand, right? So slowly building up to those numbers. With the pull-ups, for example, right? Getting to 10 pull-ups, body weight completely clean, no problem, right? Like, getting to those numbers. And the thing that hurts is that, like, before I got injured, I could do 12, no problem. But now I can barely do a couple. So building back up over time, right? Not really pushing it. Same thing with the ring push-ups. Getting to rings completely flat, right? So it's not like this, it's not like this, it's not like this. It is completely flat, right? Getting to that point and being able to do 3 sets of 12 to 15 with that difficulty. And obviously training in the range of motion that I can train in. So that is kind of my goal now. Same thing with the ring rows and eventually getting to, for example, weighted ring push-ups, etc., like that kind of stuff. Or maybe the dumbbell incline bench. So I have a few movement patterns in mind, and my goal now is to get stronger at those movement patterns in a full range of motion over time, making sure that my shoulders completely fine. Like, for example, as I mentioned before, I was doing the ATG press today with 3 kilograms. It felt a bit iffy, so I switched to 2 kilograms. Old me would not have done that. Old me would still have pushed through with 3 kilograms, but I've learned from my mistake, and so now I'm doing 2 kilograms instead of 3 kilograms. It's small things like these that I need to be careful of because my whole goal is to accumulate more uninjured sets, uninjured workouts, more pain-free workouts, more pain-free repetitions under my belt. And if I can do that over a long enough amount of time, I'm pretty darn sure I can get to a point where I can train more intensely. I can train with more volume. I can build muscle, right? That kind of stuff. And I'm probably going to be doing 2 sets for quite some time now, but I'll slowly up that to 3. Maybe I might keep it at 2 and just get stronger at 2 because I like doing 2 sets. So this is where I guess the build begins. Getting started from this point. Again, I'll attach a picture of my physique right now as well. So point is, right now I'm weak, I'm injured, I'm kind of fat, soft, and I'm not really that strong. The goal for me right now, because I'm focused on inputs, is to get to a point where I can train intensely, no problem. I can train consistently 1 to 3 repetitions, ideally 1 to 2 repetitions in reserve, and be able to do that consistently without having aches and pains. Because before, every single time I've gone to the point where I can train 1 to 2 reps in reserve, I always end up only being able to do that for 1 to 2 weeks at a time, maybe 3 weeks. That is something I aim to overcome, God willing. And obviously, as a result of this process, changing my physique, God willing, and building the physique that I've always wanted to build, God willing. That is what I'm focused on now, and that is what we are documenting on this channel. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, consider subscribing. With that being said, I will catch you in the next video, God willing. Peace.